There's always a lot of fascination, bit of mystery, lot of drama surrounding the game whenever a less fancy team plays against a stronger opposition in a World Cup game. So let's talk about the World Cup upsets in the game of cricket, and welcome to the 7th episode of Cricket Unadulterated, a weekly cricket podcast. I'm Abhishek Ambulkar and I've been joined by Atisham and Manjeet on this podcast. Hello guys, how are you doing? Hope all is well.
Hi Abhishek, and I really welcome all our listeners to our next episode. It's going on quite well, especially after the unlock has begun, and I hope life comes back to normal as soon as possible.
Hello, Abhishek. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our seventh episode. It is almost 100 days into lockdown. It is now unlocked, obviously, but as many days without cricket, and it has been really difficult for us as cricket fans being without cricket for so long. So I hope you are enjoying our podcast, and we are glad to present you our seventh episode.
Yes, we all love to talk about the upsets in the world of sports, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I think our listeners might have guessed the topic of today's podcast. So we all love to watch David versus Goliath encounters, and we always tend to support the underdogs, and except when they're playing against our favorite teams, of course. Now let's talk about the biggest upsets of all time. When Bhuvan's villagers from Champaner beat Captain Russell. Well, I'm kidding, guys. I think we should just focus to real cricket action. On that note, let's get started.
So the first upset we can call it, took place in my opinion, in the 1996 World Cup, when the final itself was an upset because hardly anyone must have expected a team like Sri Lanka to go on to beat Australia in the final. Of course, Sri Lanka had a good side at that time. Jayasuriya and Kaluvitarna and Ranadunga, De Silva, Chamindavas, Muthaiya Muralidharan, all legends in their own disciplines. But then in the league stage, in one of the games that was held at Pune, the Minnows Kenya actually defeated the two-time champions West Indies. And can you guys guess who was the top scorer for Kenya in that particular innings?
Is it Steven Piccolo?
Good guess, but he scored 29. In fact, uh, he was the highest scorer, but that was among the playing 11. In fact, the highest number of runs came from extras.
Oh,
So
So,
Steve Ticolo scored 29 in 50 deliveries, and on the contrary, there were 37 extras in Kenya's total of 166.
yes, Kenya went on to win that match, and eventually Sri Lanka were the eventual winners of that World Cup. So, yes, it was an upset, and Kenya went on to make some more upsets in 2003 Cricket World Cup that we will talk about later in this video. But now let us talk about another upset in the 1999 Cricket World Cup. And the match I'm talking about is Bangladesh versus Pakistan, where Bangladesh won their World Cup match against Pakistan for the very first time. It was a major upset because Pakistan went on to become the finalists of that tournament, and losing to Bangladesh was a very big upset as far as that tournament is considered for Pakistan.
Yes, and given the strong bowling lineup that Pakistan had at that time, Wasim, Waqar, Shoaib Akhtar, and Shakil Mushtaq, the bowlers actually did a good job to restrict Bangladesh to 223 for 9. But when it was Pakistan's turn to chase down that target, the batsmen didn't really get going. In fact, if you see, the top five batsmen didn't even go into two digits.
Yes, and Khalid Mahmood had a very good game at that point in that match, and that match was very special for Bangladesh because it led them in some way to gain test status a year later in 2000, and Bangladesh was finally a test playing nation. the status they hold till date.
Right. And in fact, I remember the highest scorer for Pakistan team was Wasim Akram, and along with Azhar Mahmood, but to just 29 runs. And when you're chasing a moderate total of 223, you need someone from the top order to provide that solidity and hold one end up, because these chases are pretty tricky. And when you
Now, talking about more upsets, we have Kenya again on our list. They caused an upset, beating West Indies in the 1996 Cricket World Cup, and they were at it again in the 2003 Cricket World Cup, in which they were the semi-finalists actually. And in the 2003 Cricket World Cup, they beat Sri Lanka by 53 runs, and that was a major upset because Sri Lanka at that point of time were a very strong side, and they were the semi-finalists too.
Yes, and if you look at the whole tournament, it was a dream run for the Kenyans. In fact, one of their matches that was to be played in Nairobi against New Zealand was cancelled because the Kiwis refused to travel to Nairobi, citing security reasons. So, despite this forfeiture, Kenyans were not to be underestimated because they indeed proved that they were good on the cricket field when they defeated the 1996 champions Sri Lanka.
And also, Kenya played really well in that tournament. They went on to win against Zimbabwe. They went on to play really well against Australia in that tournament, and they won against Bangladesh as well. So that tournament was really a shining light in their cricketing journey as a nation.
Yes, Atisham, and it really pains me and all the cricket lovers that that was the highest point of their cricket journey as a nation for Kenya, and from there, it all started going downhill for them as a cricket nation.
Yes, in fact, what should have proved to be a milestone and setting factor for Kenya. In fact, it's really painful that they couldn't continue their momentum, and the state of affairs is now a pathetic one. So, I would like to draw your attention to another upset that took place in the 2003 World Cup. That was when the Canadians defeated Bangladesh, who had already achieved a test status just 3 years back. So Canada is one team that every time they participate in the qualifiers, defeat other contenders, and then book their spot in the World Cup. So a team like Canada beating an established Test cricket playing nation like Bangladesh. So I think this particular match should be included as an upset.
Yes, and as far as I remember, it was a low scoring match. Canada scored around 180, and it was pretty much evident with the batting lineup that Bangladesh had that it could have been chased, but Canada bowled really well. I remember Codrington was a certain bowler. He took 5 wickets in that match, and it was the best figures for a Canadian at the World Cup. And that upset should be credited to some great bowling that Canadians did in that match.
In fact, if you remember in the game against West Indies, opener John Davison actually scored 100. That was a quick fire one.
Yes,
Well, if in the previous editions of Cricket World Cup there was some fleeting moments of World Cup upsets, 2007 cricket edition, I think it would be fair for us to say that it was the edition of upsets, not just one-off upset, but huge upsets.
yes, Abhishek, and I think not only a few matches, that tournament for us Indians and as well as in the subcontinent was a complete upset. The tournament was itself a upset. I'm talking about two matches here. First, we'll talk about Ireland versus Pakistan, a game in which a strong side such as Pakistan lost against newcomers Ireland, and that was a major upset because of a few reasons. Mainly, the batting lineup of Pakistan in that World Cup was extremely strong. They had Mohammad Yusuf, Inzamamul Haq, the likes of Imran Nazir, explosive opener. But Ireland managed to win that match, and it was one of the most major upsets in that tournament.
So it's really painful to see that Inzamam didn't get the farewell he deserved.
Yes, and talking about farewells, who can forget the unlikely, untimely demise of Pakistan's coach at that point of time, Bob Woolmer. That tournament was really a dark phase for Pakistan, as far as I believe.
Yes, and if we talk about that Pakistan versus Ireland game at the Sham, I think the current ODI captain, the limited edition captain for England, Morgan, was playing for Ireland at that time. Although he didn't score a ton of runs in that match, but O'Brien brothers were still around in that Ireland setup. William Porterfield was there, and you could see that these are just not some pushovers. They are really talented bunch of guys back then.
Yes, and talking about Owen Morgan, that was his first grab at a major World Cup victory. And boy, 12 years later, he held the World Cup. So, yeah, that is quite a story.
So the World Cup of 2007 was disastrous not just for Pakistan, but how can we forget what kind of a disaster it was for India? Because in the opening game, India lost to Bangladesh. Who would have imagined? In fact, I remember when I was a contestant on the Cadbury Bonvita quiz contest in 2006. One of the questions that Derek O'Brien had asked us was against which team will India open its World Cup campaign? In fact, I had seen the timetable back then. I answered Sri Lanka, which was incorrect, and one of the teams answered Bangladesh. And in fact, Derek O'Brien went on to say that he hoped that India will win the game, but who knew back then that that wasn't the case to be.
Yes, and from that match, I remember the trio of youngsters from Bangladesh, Tamim Iqbal, Mushfiqur Rahim, and Shakib Al Hasan. They all scored 50 in the chase, and boy, they carried Bangladesh since then. And in 2020, you can see these three are the legends for Bangladesh, and you can understand the importance of that match because it put Bangladesh in a picture which portrayed them as a really strong team that could do really well in crucial matches when time comes.
Yes, and Ehtisham, I think credit should be given to Mashrafe Mortaza because he was also instrumental in that match, and he really didn't allow the Indians to get away with off to a flying start. Because if you see the scorecard now, Saurav Ganguly, the top scorer for the Indian team, scored 66 in 120 odd deliveries, and none of the top order really fired when it mattered the most for the Indian team. Virendra Sehwag, Robin Uthappa, Tendulkar was batting at number 4, so that was quite unique and disastrous for India.
Yes, and the reason I initially called the 2007 Cricket World Cup a complete upset because neither India nor Pakistan qualified for the super group stages, and we did not have an India-Pakistan match in that tournament. So it was really a disappointment.
For any cricket World Cup organizing committee, the India-Pakistan game is like a cash cow because every committee would like to milk as much revenue out of it as they can because they all know India and Pakistan are cricket-loving nations and the ratings for that particular game are the highest for any given match. But unfortunately, the organizers couldn't get such a game because what could have been an India-Pakistan encounter actually became a Bangladesh-Ireland match.
Yes, absolutely. You are absolutely correct when you point out that India-Pakistan match is a big ticket match in any international tournament, multi-team event. And in that same year, few months later, in September, India and Pakistan went on to play a final of a T20 World Cup, which was an inaugural event for that type of tournament. Now we'll talk about that tournament and a few upsets that happened in that tournament. Uh, Firstly, I would like to mention an upset that happened in the group stages, the preliminary group stages, in which Bangladesh beat a very strong West Indies and knocked them out of the tournament.
So the West Indies had a good start for their campaign because Chris Gayle just went all guns blazing and he scored the first international century. He would go on to make many more in his T20 career. But then, who would have imagined that his juggernaut would be stopped by Bangladesh in the very next match?
And talking about that tournament, West Indies did not play really poorly in that tournament because in the first match, as you would remember against South Africa, they scored above 200 runs. That was chased down by South Africa in the first match, but in the next match, they batted really well, got around 164. But kudos to the Bangladesh batsmen. They chased down that total in 18 overs, and at that point of time, I call it an upset because West Indies was a really strong side with Chris Gayle, Dwayne Smith, and players like Marlon Samuels and Dinesh Ramdin in their side, and they were at the peak of their powers. And it was a real big upset for West Indies to go out of that tournament so early.
Yes, and another upset I think we should talk about is Australia versus Zimbabwe, because we talked about Zimbabwe being a strong team back in 90s, late 90s and early 2000. But when this tournament started, Zimbabwe cricket was on a decline, was on a steep decline, in fact. And Australia was at the peak of their powers because they had the likes of Adam Gilchrist, Matthew Hayden, Ricky Ponting, Simons, and one of the best finishers, Mike Hussey. And to go on and beat that strong Australian side was no mean achievement for Zimbabwe.
Yes,
Yes,
and in that match, I remember Brendan Taylor batted really well because he scored about 60 runs in that match and was there till the end when the chase was being made. Zimbabwe was chasing a modest total, I remember, around late 130s, and it was finally a victory after 19.5 overs. So the match got really close, and I still remember a boundary was scored, and Zimbabwe were ecstatic after winning that match.
So guys, so far we have discussed the upsets which involved unusual performances from Canada or Bangladesh or the Zimbabweans. But this time, let's focus on an upset that was caused by the men in orange. Yes, I'm talking about the team from the Netherlands. And although they have been making frequent appearances at ICC events, they hadn't really tasted much success so far. But their biggest upset came against England in the opening game of the 2009 T20 World Cup at the home of cricket. That's when they required 2 runs of the last ball and there was an attempted run out from the bowler Stuart Broad. He missed the wickets and then in the overthrow, the Dutchman ran for 2 runs and completed a fantastic victory over the Englishman.
Yes, and as you mentioned, Stuart Broad was at the receiving end again. The early two editions of T20 World Cups were not really good for him because in the 2007 T20 World Cup, as we all remember, Yuvraj Singh did something very special to him. And in this event, in this match, he missed a run out. Actually, if he would have carried the ball with him, it could have been at least a tie, but it resulted in a famous win for Netherlands instead.
Yes, this was the first moment of success for the Netherlands on the world stage. And 2 years later, during the 2011 World Cup, in fact, they were very close to beating England once again when they posted 296 on the board. But due to some strong hitting by Andrew Strauss and Kevin Peterson, they were not able to defend this total. But then again, they had come very, very close to beating England once again.
Yes, Manjit, I remember that match. Andrew Strauss played really well and England went on to win. But they weren't so lucky against Bangladesh in that tournament. And for me, that was a big upset because Bangladesh went on to beat England and it was a famous victory for them.
Well, the tournament wasn't really good against England, particularly against the considerably weaker teams, because again, of course, Bangladesh beat them in Chittagong, but then how can forget the famous victory by Ireland in Bengaluru?
Yes, and in that match, I remember Kevin O'Brien went on to shatter the world record for the fastest World Cup ODI 100, and that was a famous case.
And remember, England had posted a huge mammoth score of 327 runs at Bengaluru. Although it's easier to bat at Chinnaswamy Stadium, but nevertheless, it was a tall chase. It was a huge ask for the Irish batsmen to chase that total. And especially, it doesn't help when your team is down at 111 for 5. And from that position, they were in dire straits to go on and win the match was a great achievement for the Ireland team.
Yes, and consider the score, consider the bowling that England had at that point of time. Michael Yardy was there. He was a good enough spin bowler. They had Graham Swan, they had James Anderson, and these Irish batsmen played really well against a good English bowling attack. And yes, it was a very good win for them.
So although England somehow managed to reach the quarterfinal stage in the 2011 World Cup, these two defeats against Bangladesh and Ireland, these must have hurt them really bad.
Yes, and in World Cups before the 2019 Cricket World Cup, England has always been at the receiving end, and that I believe because in the very next edition to the 2011 Cricket World Cup, in the 2015 edition, England went on to lose a very crucial match to get into the quarterfinals. I am talking about the match against Bangladesh, in which they lost by a very meager margin, and that allowed Bangladesh to make the quarterfinals in that World Cup. But English hopes were shattered after that match, and they were knocked out before the quarterfinals.
Yes, it was a do or die situation for both teams because losing the match would mean an exit from the tournament. But then, miraculously, Bangladesh went on to defeat England and they later faced India in the quarterfinal.
Yes, it was quite a watershed moment for the England team. They had to go back and reevaluate about their limited overs cricket because they were very good at Test cricket. But this defeat was a jolt, was a shock for them.
Yes, and as far as I remember, they were very much into the chase, but crumbled at the very end and were all out before the 50 overs, and 9 balls were still left in the innings, and they lost by a meager margin of, I believe, 15 runs.
And this game started the revival of England cricket, the fearless brand of cricket which they lacked in big stages.
Yes, many upsets throughout the years would have helped England in finally waking up from a very timid ODI side to making a very strong, aggressive ODI side that did really well in the coming editions of international tournaments. Well, for example, they did really well in the 2017 Champions Trophy that was held in their home, as well as we all know they went on to win the 2019 Cricket World Cup. So yes, they came back really well from that upset.
Yes, Atisham, and they also performed well in the T20 World Cup of 2016 when they faced West Indies in the final. England were very much in the game until Carlos Brathwaite just took it away from them by hitting 4 consecutive sixes in the last over. So coming to the 2016 World T20, there is one upset that I was fortunate to witness live in the ground. That was when Afghanistan defeated the future champions West Indies by 6 runs at Nagpur.
Yes, Manjeet, I remember that match obviously because it was held here in Nagpur. But the very special memory that I have of that match is when after the match, the Afghan players and the West Indies player had a bit of dance in between them. Like we all know, the West Indies have their celebrations and they dance after every victory, but they were gracious enough to dance with the Afghan players after they had won that match.
And Chris Gale wasn't in the playing 11 that day. He was replaced by Evan Lewis. But then after the match, Chris Gale came onto the ground and joined in the Afghans in the celebrations.
Great. So that was a brilliant discussion we had today, guys. So on that note, let's hope that we witness cricket pretty soon because it's been a long time since we have witnessed any live cricket action. And let's hope that we get to see many such upsets in the future, because what these upsets do is bring up an entirely new team onto the world map of cricket. And when a cricket team performs well, or any team performs well at the global stage, what it does is it encourages many youngsters from that country to take up cricket, and as a result it helps cricket to reach a wider audience.
Yes, Abhishek, and hopefully in the future we'll get to see more Kevin O'Briens and Mahmudullahs and Stu Ticolos in the future. And I hope in the world on the world stage, weaker teams get their bit of success as well. And that's how, as you mentioned, cricket will reach a wider audience. And one thing I hope is that India will not be on the receiving end as it was in 2007. So we all love upsets, but the only thing is they shouldn't go against India.
So on that note, let's conclude this episode 7 of Cricket Upsets. We hope that you enjoyed this episode.
And guys, if you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And the description to our Spotify and Google podcast links is there in the description box. Thank you.